Today is the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Often, many of us ask ourselves, if there's God who promised to take care of the Jewish people, how is it possible that he would allow something like this to take place? 30 years ago, when I was working on my Russian translation of Torah, I was astounded to read there that God, calling Jews stiff-necked people, told us through Moses, if I were to go with you even for a moment, I would destroy you. Now, take off your jewelry and I will decide what to do with you. I was very new at that time to anything Jewish. My turning point was just a few years before that, in 1989. That August, I led 1,500 Soviet Jews, stateless Soviet Jews at that time, on the first march of protest in Rome, Italy, against the sudden, shameless change in American policy with regard to Soviet Jewry. However, that line in Torah immediately brought to my mind the images I was familiar with from history, the mountain of ornaments and jewelry that the Nazis stripped off the Jewish women before sending them to gas chambers. It made me sick to think that this is what God meant, for it also meant that he was right there in Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor, using the Nazis to murder our people. I was aghast. It made me choke. I couldn't reconcile that text in Torah and the image. Sobibor came to my mind because it was also the only death camp in Poland that saw a successful, if this word can be used, rebellion. Soviet Jewish POW Alexander Pichersky led it. Before the revolt, which saw 300 Jews escape, Sobibor was where something like 200,000 Jews from Poland, Holland, and Slovakia had been murdered. Today, the Israel Antiquities Authority announced that the Dutch and Polish archaeologists found in that Sobibor 3 pendants. You need archaeologists to find their things like this because following the revolt, the Nazis completely demolished the camp to destroy any evidence of its existence. The discovered pendants had on one side image of Moses holding the 2 tablets of the 10 commandments. And on the other side, there was words, Shema Israel. Shema Israel, Hear, O Israel, is the most important creed of Judaism, expressing the Jewish people's commitment to our covenant with God. The full declaration begins with Shema Israel, Hear, O Israel, and continues with Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, meaning the Lord is our God, only the Lord. The word Lord here is used instead of unpronounceable name of God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The archaeologists discovered one pendant at the Shek where women were undressed before they were sent to gas chambers. Scores of other women jewelry and hairpins had been found there as well. Another pendant, which used Roman numerals to indicate 10 commandments on the tablet of the law, was uncovered in the area where victims were undressed in camp number 2. A third pendant was discovered next to a mass grave. So in face of death, the Jews showed their commitment to God. But did God keep his commitment to Jews? 30 years ago, when I came across that sentence in Torah where God was calling our people stiff-necked, I wanted to scream at God. If you don't like people that can think for themselves and stand all alone against the seas of vicious hatred, find yourself other, nicer people who you may like. until 1989, when I was a total atheist. Such a statement could not even enter my mind. At that time, I gave everything, including, if it was necessary, my life, to destroy the Soviet communist dictatorship. To do it, I went through hell of torture in mental hospital, 13-year exile, which was followed by another deportation, and non-ending pain from the knowledge that I caused my widowed mothers a horrific suffering of total isolation by making her a mother of one of the enemy of the people. I made these sacrifices because of my personality and because I loved the people. Now, you may smile or even laugh, as this phrase may not mean anything to you. However, that is precisely why Abraham, the first Hebrew, was willing to be a part of the covenant with God. The covenant that was made, I quote, in order every family in this world could find a blessing through you and your descendants. To make sure that Abraham understood that this loving all people agreement was not cost-free, God tested him with his son's own life and told him about the suffering of his posterity in the land not their own, including Sobibor. Death is what gives meaning to life. How we live often affects how we die, but how we die and what we die for gives meaning to our lives and the lives of our posterity, our children. If we are lucky, it may also enable them and others to live better.